Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. So today I am going to be showing you how I did this Jimin hardware versus software inspired look. I have literally just watched the Set Me Free part 2 video, so please go watch it. Oh, it is so amazing. I have no words. Anyway, first of all I stamped a bit of tape on my eye so that I could have a bit of a rough guide of where I'm going to be doing the split. Then in the Colourpop Gone Matte palette I'm using this entire row here. And I'm starting off using the darker shades blended together. For this, I am using a very small pointed flat brush. I'm pretty sure it is the Morphe M213 brush. I'm not sure if they still do them. Mine are really old. I got them, I think, in like 2018 or something. And I'm also using a pencil brush just to buff everything out. I did use the Helene Cosmetics Double Base Primer, which I always use, and I am using these more mid-tone shades and this lighter tone shade just to blend everything together. So we're going from dark, mid-tone, and then light. Then I am going on with the Blend Bunny Surge palette and this shade White Hot, which is the white obviously, and I am just going from brown all the way to white. I wanted this side to kind of mimic the softer version of the software concept photos, whereas the second half will mimic the hardware versions, which are a bit darker. And then I'm using a paintbrush and micellar water just to clean everything up underneath in that little like swoop. That little swoop is kind of mimicking the drapes in the software version too, and I thought this style really made that all come to life. Then I am mixing the Double Base Primer and the Cut Crease Primer from Helene Cosmetics, and I'm just packing that in with a beauty blender just to make it not too sticky. And I'm just doing the same thing, following the contour of my crease, but I'm actually going a bit above it this time so that I can have a few of these cut creases fit on my eye rather than just like one or two. If you do have not as much lid space as I do, you can still do it, but you might only be able to put a few in, or you'd have to blend quite small and do a bit smaller creases. I am packing things mostly using this method rather than like blending with the windshield wiper motions, just because if I'm working in such tiny little areas, I find packing is the most precise method. As you can see, I'm using the micellar water again and just, carving everything out underneath. Then I go in with the cut crease canvas and the concealer base that I used before, the little mixture. I like mixing the two together just so it's a little bit more liquidy and it isn't as thick. Sometimes I find if I just use the cut crease by itself, it is a little thick. I do kind of want to talk about Set Me Free Part 2 because I've just watched it and I am losing my mind about it. It is so amazing. It's like Lie on Black Swan, Fake Love, all had a baby but not. Anyway. And then I am doing the same again with the blending, doing it in my actual crease this time, so it is a little bit harder. As you can see, I'm squinting a lot more. My eyebrows are quite raised just so that I can get it flat. My skin is being pulled taut so that I don't get any creasing or anything, because that is a nightmare when that happens, unfortunately. You could probably like raise it with your fingers or something if you struggle, but yeah, I just put the mirror really close to my face and use tiny brushes. That seems to work well for me. And you can see I am just using the same colours as I used before and adding the white in over the top, creating a nice gradient from dark to light. Also, you can see at the end towards the tail of my brow, I don't really care what that looks like. That is getting cut off anyway, so it doesn't really matter, just as long as everything above the lines or closer to my nose area is working well, we're fine. Speaking of which, I cut it off camera because my camera unfortunately died, but I am starting on the hardware version now, so back in with the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Surge palette on this actual liner brush. This is a nail art liner brush and I'm using black, and then the same color Pop Gun matte palette, I'm using the grey shades. So for this, we're going from dark to light. This one's a little bit more tricky because you're going from black to white, and you know, that is kind of a bit harder to blend than it is going from a bit more of a softer color like brown. And I find the second half of these looks a lot harder, but I do love doing these looks because you get a really nice contrast. You can do a contrast between like soft and dark, which is what I'm doing. You can do blue and orange, which is what I did for Yoongi's tour poster with the kind of like split thing that he did. And you can really create kind of cool concepts. You could even do it like 3 times if you wanted. I've never done that, but I've seen people do it. But really, anything like this, if you're doing multiple layers, once you've done it once, you're going to have to do it many more times. But just take your time, be patient, don't get angry with the process because it can be quite stressful, and put on some music and just really enjoy it. Treat it a bit like therapy, doing Lego or something like that, and it's just a really nice form of art. I think that's why I really like doing these. With the base, what I do, you can see I'm swiping a little bit, but I also do stamp it. I prefer to stamp. Sometimes I swipe if I'm getting a bit lazy and I just want it done quick. But if you stamp, you get a really nice, precise line. And that precision is something you're going to want if you are doing something like this. If I can't use a beauty blender, I will use a clean flat brush just to soak up any of the excess product as well. I find if I don't do that, it becomes such a task to blend everything together. But I will say, if you do have a really small little brush like that liner brush I use, and you are wanting to do something a little bit more precise, even if it isn't as intricate as this, that is a really good method just to kind of map out where you want your eyeshadow. If you're doing a cut crease or anything like that, just using a very small brush just to map out where you are going to be applying the product is very, very useful. And is also very useful if you are going back in to deepen the product, which you will be needing to do anyway. And this is where I stuffed up. So you can see it starts off going really well, and then I got a little bit too excited and I thought, oh, let me make it a little bit higher. Yeah, it looks really bad if I open my eye. It probably doesn't, but it's just me being a little bit of a perfectionist. But I used the Peaches Cosmetics Print Pigment, which is one of my favorites. I'm running low on it actually. This is how much I use it. It is this silver pigment, but it has no base color to it. So it literally is just like pure silver white glitter. Then I'm using the micellar water again, and I'm cleaning up the side because I'm going to be extending the black and grey blend that we've done down just like this. And I created a little split underneath my eye using a black liner and a bronze liner, popping them in my waterline just to kind of marry everything together. Now this bit was so fun. So what I did, I put a bunch of lash glue on the inner part near my brow, and I have these little spikes, and I also bought these nail caviar and these nail gems that look a bit like water droplets. So I put the spikes on the hardware version to mimic what Jimin did there, and then in the inner part I put the nail caviar and then the bigger droplets to kind of mimic like the water that he said face is inspired by. Used the Sweetheart lashes from Lava Lashes, and this is the final result. I don't know how long it took me. All I know is I went through many BTS albums, but I do like it. You can see when I open my eye, it kind of like goes a bit weird. That was my own fault. But I really hope you enjoy it. Please listen to Set Me Free Part 2. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And the music video and his dancing and everything. And I can't wait for Face. Have a wonderful day. I hope you have a lovely weekend as well. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.